Imagine waking up and realizing a stranger on the other side of the world knows where you slept last night, which cafe you visited this morning, what you searched when you couldn't sleep at 3 a.m., and the exact model of phone in your pocket. Not because you're famous, not because you did anything wrong, just because you live on the internet in 2025. Your location pings, Wi-Fi logins, search history, app permissions, online shopping, late-night doom scrolling, stitched together into a silent, always-on profile that follows you from screen to screen. Advertisers bid on it. Data brokers trade it. Governments and random hackers dig through it when they get the chance. And you? Most days, you probably feel invisible. Until the day it stops being invisible. Maybe it starts with a weird login alert on your email, or an ad that feels too personal, or a blackmail message that mentions a website you're sure you only visited once, in a private moment, on incognito mode. In this video, we're going to strip away the comforting lie that no one is watching me and show you how much of your life is already exposed, and more importantly, how to take some of it back. We'll talk about what really tracks you across the internet, why basic tricks like private mode or deleting cookies are not enough, where VPNs actually help and where they don't, and a simple practical system you can start using today to stop being tracked online and reclaim a bit of your privacy. This isn't about paranoia. It's about finally understanding the game that's being played with your data and deciding you don't want to play it on easy mode anymore. Let me introduce you to someone I've met 1,000 times under different names. We'll call him Min. Min is not a hacker, not a whistleblower, not a criminal. He's a 29-year-old product designer who works remotely. He travels a lot for work, loves coffee shops with free Wi-Fi, and believes he's pretty careful online. Two-factor authentication on some accounts. Incognito mode for, private stuff. Same password, with small variations, for almost everything. On a rainy Tuesday in a foreign city, Min sits in an airport lounge. His flight is delayed. He connects to the free Wi-Fi, scrolls Instagram, logs into his email to send a quick file, and downloads a cracked design plugin from a forum because the official license feels too expensive right now. Nothing explodes. No scary pop-up. No red warning screen. Just internet. A few weeks later, Min gets an email from his bank. We've detected suspicious activity on your account. He assumes it's phishing and ignores it. That same night, he gets a login alert from his main email, from a location he doesn't recognize. He sighs, thinks, probably a bug, and goes back to watching YouTube. 2 days later, his Netflix logs him out. Then his food delivery app. Then his ride-hailing app. Password reset emails start piling up. Some of them he requested. Some of them he definitely didn't. What Min doesn't know yet is that the cracked plugin came with a silent keylogger. Everything he typed on that laptop for weeks, logins, passwords, messages, has been quietly forwarded to someone who will never see his face but knows exactly who he is. At the same time, the free Wi-Fi at the airport was misconfigured. Traffic from users like Min passed through a router with weak security. Someone was capturing unencrypted requests, building a little treasure chest of personal details. Min's public IP, the sites he visited, the services he used. Nothing Hollywood, just boring, industrial-scale snooping. Then comes the real punch in the gut. One morning, Min opens his inbox and finds an email with the subject line, "We know what you did." The sender includes an old password of his in the first line, one he used years ago but still reuses with small variations. They list a few sites he visited late at night, some adult, some political, plus the last 4 digits of his phone number and the name of his employer. "Pay this amount in crypto," they write, "or we send everything to your boss, your parents, and your clients." Is the email real? Are they bluffing? Min has no idea. All he knows is that they know enough to scare him. He spends the next 3 hours shaking, refreshing his inbox, searching, is this scam? Trying to remember every time he logged into anything from a coffee shop, an airport, a hotel. For the first time, he feels something he has never really felt online before, violated. While Min is spiraling, the world keeps turning. News breaks about yet another giant data breach. Millions of people's records leaked from a telecom, a hospital system, a government agency. Somewhere in a spreadsheet, Min's name, email, phone number, maybe even his ID, is sitting in a file that will be copied and traded for years. On top of that, Every website he visits is quietly loading dozens of trackers from advertisers, analytics companies, and data brokers. His clicks, his scrolling patterns, his location, even how long he hesitates before pressing buy, all recorded, correlated, turned into probabilities about what he'll do next. Min thought he was too small to matter. But to the systems that watched him, he was never Min in the first place. He was a bundle of data points, a moving target in a giant marketplace of attention and behavior. And now that bundle has slipped out of his hands. If you've ever reused a password, joined a random Wi-Fi, clicked I agree without reading, or told yourself, I'm not important enough to be hacked, Min's story is uncomfortably close to yours. You might not have received the scary email yet. You might never get one. But the same machinery that chewed through Min's life is humming quietly behind your screen right now. So how did someone like Min end up here? It wasn't just a hacker or a bad network. It was a whole stack of human habits and digital systems that were perfectly aligned against him. And, if we're honest, against most of us. First, there's the story we tell ourselves, I'm not important. If you're not a celebrity or a politician, it's easy to believe no one cares about your data. But the reality is that most tracking online doesn't target individuals by name at first. It scoops up everything from everyone, and only later zooms in on whoever looks profitable or vulnerable. You don't have to be special to be valuable. You just have to exist with a phone in your hand. Then comes comfort. Security feels like extra work. Reading permissions, checking URLs, changing passwords, setting up two-factor authentication, learning how a VPN actually works. None of this is as fun as scrolling or streaming. So we trade invisible risk for visible convenience. We accept default settings, use the same password base for everything, and click accept all cookies because we just want the pop-up to go away. There's also pride. Nobody likes admitting, I don't really understand how any of this works. So people copy what friends do, pick whatever app appears first in the store, and assume that if a company is big and popular, it must be safe. Questions like, where is this company based? What data are they logging? Or who else can see this? Barely cross their mind. Behind those personal habits sits a total lack of personal security architecture. Most people have never sat down and mapped their own digital life. They don't know how many accounts they've created, which devices are logged in, where their backups live, or how many apps have access to their camera, microphone, contacts, and files. It's like living in a house where every door has a different lock, but you've thrown all the keys into one messy drawer. On the other side of the screen, the environment isn't neutral. Every free app still needs to make money, and the easiest way is by collecting as much data as possible and turning it into targeting. Websites sprinkle trackers from dozens of companies. Internet providers log what flows through their networks. Data brokers build detailed profiles they can sell to advertisers, political campaigns, or whoever pays. At the same time, the scale of the problem keeps growing. Year after year, data breach reports count hundreds of millions of records exposed, sometimes from just a handful of mega breaches. Surveys show that most people say they're worried about how governments and companies use their information, but also admit they have little idea what actually happens once their data is collected, and very little confidence they can control it. That combination, high fear, low clarity, is the perfect recipe for paralysis. Then there's pure scale on the criminal side. Cybercrime is no longer a teenager in a hoodie guessing your password for fun. It's an industry. Organized groups scrape passwords from old breaches and try them across thousands of sites. They scan the internet for badly secured servers and misconfigured Wi-Fi networks. They buy and sell stolen data like assets. Put all of this together, and Min's mistake stops looking like a freak accident and more like the default outcome of living online without a plan. The point is not to blame people for being human. It's to recognize that being human, lazy, distracted, curious, sometimes reckless, is exactly what the current system is designed around. Platforms optimize for engagement, not safety. Browsers ship private mode, which mostly hides things from people who share your device, not from the companies watching in the background. Even governments send mixed messages, promising privacy on one hand, expanding surveillance powers on the other. It's no surprise, then, that people feel both overwhelmed and powerless. They vaguely know they're being watched, but the threat feels too abstract to act on. So they do nothing until something forces their hand. If this sounds like you are not broken. You are behaving exactly the way a normal person behaves in a system that quietly nudges you away from control and toward convenience. But that also means, at this point, it would be comforting to say, just install a VPN and you're safe. But that would be another lie. There's a strange paradox in the privacy world. People who don't care at all click through everything without thinking. People who care a little sometimes latch onto a single magic tool and expect it to fix a broken system. VPNs are a perfect example. They are powerful. They encrypt your connection, hide your real IP address from the websites you visit, and stop your internet provider from seeing which sites you're talking to. They are essential when you on public Wi-Fi, and incredibly useful when you want to bypass censorship or region blocks. But they are not a force field. If your device is already infected with malware, a VPN won't stop a keylogger from sending your passwords out. If you reuse weak passwords, a VPN won't save you when someone tries them on your accounts after a breach. If you happily give every app access to your contacts, photos, and microphone, a VPN can't climb inside those apps and stop them from abusing that access. There's another uncomfortable truth. When you use a VPN, you're shifting trust, not erasing it. Without a VPN, your internet provider can see a lot of what you do. With a VPN, your provider sees less. But now the VPN company sits in the middle of your traffic. A good provider designs their systems so that they can't log or sell what you do. A shady one can turn your data into a business model just like everyone else. That's why free VPNs are often worse than no VPN at all. Some inject ads, sell your bandwidth, or quietly log the very activity you're trying to hide. Others are so badly configured that they leak DNS requests or drop your connection without warning, leaving you exposed while you believe you're protected. When people say VPNs are a scam, what they often mean is, I trusted the wrong one. At the same time, governments around the world are leaning harder into online control. Mandatory age verification laws that ask you to upload your ID to access certain sites, expanding surveillance powers in the name of security, more aggressive content blocking. Every time a new restriction appears, there's a spike in searches for VPNs and how to stay anonymous online. But if your only response is, I'll tunnel around it, you're still not thinking about the bigger picture of where your data goes, who holds it, and how long they keep it. The same goes for privacy, features, and other tools. Incognito mode mostly hides what you do from people who share your device. It doesn't magically erase logs kept by your browser, your DNS resolver, the sites you visit, or the trackers they load. Encrypted messaging is fantastic, but if you back up all your chats in plain text to a cloud account secured with one weak password, that encryption becomes a fancy padlock on a door with broken hinges. We also need to question the idea that privacy is only for people with something to hide. It sounds humble to say, I'm boring, I don't mind being tracked. But imagine handing a stranger your unlocked phone, your full browsing history, your private messages, your location for the last year, your photos, and a list of every question you ever asked a search engine at 2 a.m. There is no one on earth who wouldn't feel exposed. Data about you can be used in ways you never imagined. To guess your income, your sexuality, your political views, your mental health struggles, your relationship problems. It can affect. Now let's turn all of this from abstract fear into something you can actually do. Think of your online privacy like learning to drive in a dangerous city. You can't redesign the roads, but you can change the way you move through them. We're going to use a simple 5-step framework. I call it T.R.A.C.E. Track, reinforce, armor, clean, evolve. Step 1. Track your digital footprint. Before you fix anything, you need to see it. Take 20 minutes, open a blank note, and list out the important pieces of your online life. Email accounts, banking and investment apps, social media, cloud storage, work tools, crypto wallets, anything that would really hurt if you lost it. Then ask yourself a few questions. Which devices are logged into these accounts? How many of them are shared with family or colleagues? When was the last time you checked where you're logged in? How many random apps have access to your Google, Apple, or Facebook account because you clicked sign in with years ago? This is uncomfortable, but powerful. Most people discover they're still logged into old devices, old browsers, old services they don't even use anymore. Each one is an open window. Step 2. Reinforce your keys. Once you can see your footprint, the next priority is access. Start with your main email, your primary messaging apps, and any accounts connected to money or identity, banks, PayPal, trading apps, employer portals, government services. For each one, create a unique, long password stored in a password manager, not in your head or a Notes app. If a site offers two-factor authentication with an authenticator app or hardware key, turn it on. Treat these accounts like the front door of your life. Then, work your way down through the rest over the next few days. You don't have to fix everything in one sitting. What matters is that the most sensitive doors no longer share the same flimsy key. Step 3. Armor your connections. This is where VPNs come in, but used deliberately, not as superstition. On any device you use outside your home or trusted office, install a reputable, paid VPN with a clear no-logs policy, independent audits, and a clean track record. Use it by default on public Wi-Fi in airports, hotels, cafes, co-working spaces, and conferences. Combine it with HTTPS-only browsing in your browser settings, so that even if someone is watching the network, all they see is encrypted noise. If you live, travel, or work in places with heavy censorship or sensitive topics, journalism, activism, vulnerable communities, treat your VPN choice like choosing a lawyer. Look at where the company is based legally, how they handle court orders, what encryption standards they use, and whether they've ever been caught logging when they said they didn't. Armor also means basic device hygiene. Keep your operating system and apps updated, uninstall software you don't use, and avoid cracked apps and random installers, especially on machines that touch your work or finances. Step 4. Clean up the noise. Every unnecessary app, browser extension, and tracking cookie is another place your data can leak. Set aside a quiet evening and declutter. Delete accounts you no longer use. Revoke access for apps that don't need to see your contacts, photos, or location. In your browser, use a privacy-focused search engine, block third-party cookies, and consider a reputable tracker blocking extension. On social media, strip your public profile down to what you're genuinely comfortable showing a stranger. None of this will make you invisible, but it will dramatically shrink the amount of information that leaks out with every click. Step 5. Evolve your habits. Tools matter, but habits decide whether they stay turned on. Build micro-rituals into your life. For example, once a month, pick a digital maintenance day. Update your main. When Min finally sat down to clean up his digital life, something surprising happened. Yes, there was fear and anger at the scammers, at the companies that leaked his data, at himself for ignoring warning signs. But beneath that was a quieter feeling he hadn't expected: relief. For years, Min's online life had been like an overflowing closet. Old accounts, forgotten logins, hundreds of apps with vague names, social networks full of people he didn't remember, devices he'd sold or given away without really wiping them. He had always felt a low-level anxiety about it, but it was easier to bury that under work, entertainment, and "I'll deal with it later." The blackmail email forced him to look directly at the mess. As he went through his accounts, turned on two-factor authentication, installed a real VPN, removed shady extensions, and deleted things he no longer needed, Min realized he was doing more than just security. He was taking ownership. He started seeing patterns. The times he had accepted bad deals because they were convenient, using a single social login button for everything. Letting apps track his location only this once, and then forgetting letting platforms recommend friends and content based on a profile he never consciously built. He noticed how often he had treated his own boundaries as negotiable, not just online, but in life. The more he cleaned, the more the story in his head shifted. Instead of, "I'm boring, no one cares about my data," it became, "My life is mine. I decide who gets to see what." Instead of, "I'm bad with technology," it became, "I can learn enough to protect myself step by step." Instead of, "The internet is just creepy," it became, "There is a cost to convenience, and I get to choose when it's worth paying." That shift matters, because privacy isn't only about hiding, it's about dignity. It's about knowing that your teenage search history won't be quietly sold to someone who will use it against you 10 years from now. It's about being able to explore ideas, identities, politics, and relationships without feeling like every click could be replayed in front of your boss, your parents, or a future government. It's about your kids being able to grow up without their entire childhood turned into training data for advertising systems. When we accept constant tracking as just how it is, we start to self-censor in ways we don't even notice. We stop searching certain questions. We avoid reading certain stories. We hesitate before supporting certain causes. Not because anyone has told us you can't, but because we feel watched. Reclaiming even part of your privacy is a way of reclaiming your freedom to think, to feel, and to change your mind without an audience. Of course, this is not a solo project. There are structural problems here: laws, corporate incentives, surveillance programs that no individual checklist can fix. But individual action is still a statement. My attention, my data, my life are not. So let's come back to you. Right now, somewhere, there is a silent version of you made entirely of data. It knows what time you usually wake up, which cities you visited this year, how fast you scroll past bad news, which videos make you stop, which topics make you angry enough to comment, which ads make you click. Pieces of that shadow you live on servers controlled by your phone manufacturer, your internet provider, your favorite apps, ad networks you've never heard of, data brokers you'll never meet, and maybe even a few criminals who scraped it from leaks and old databases. You can't delete that shadow entirely, but you can stop feeding it. If all you do after this video is 3 things: secure your main email with a strong, unique password and 2-factor authentication, choose a reputable VPN and actually use it on untrusted networks, and prune the scariest permissions from the apps on your phone, you will already be miles ahead of most people. And if you decide to go further, to actually walk through the T.R.A.C.E. framework, and build yourself a simple privacy routine, you'll notice something else shift. The next time a big breach hits the news, or a creepy ad follows you around, or a new law demands more data than feels reasonable, you won't just feel dread. You'll feel prepared. You'll know what levers you can pull and where your weak spots still are. Min never got full closure on who targeted him. The blackmailers eventually moved on when he refused to pay and changed everything. But the incident left a permanent scar and a permanent upgrade. Today, he's the annoying friend who tells people not to use the hotel Wi-Fi without protection, who helps his parents set up password managers, who explains to colleagues why just send me the file on this random messaging app is not always a good idea. You could be that person in your circle, the one who quietly breaks the pattern. If this video helped you see your online life differently, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with the one friend who always uses free Wi-Fi without thinking, the coworker who travels constantly, the parent who clicks every link, or the creator who lives online but never had time to learn this stuff. I am working on more deep dive videos about staying private in an increasingly watched world, from choosing the right VPN for your situation, to hardening your devices, to navigating censorship and risky environments safely. If you want to be there when those drop, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and let me know in the comments what scares you most about being tracked online. Because the truth is, they are watching. But if enough of us learn how the system works and start making different choices, they won't get to decide everything about who we are, what we see, or how much of our lives we're forced to put on display. You may not be able to walk off the grid, but you can absolutely stop walking through the internet with a target painted on your back and start taking your privacy and your power back. So, here's my challenge to you. Tonight, before you go to sleep, don't just swipe this away and move on to the next recommended video. Do one concrete thing to push back. Change one important password. Turn on one privacy feature you've been ignoring. Install and set up the VPN you've been meaning to try. Or simply sit down for 10 minutes and write out your own list of accounts, so your digital life stops being this vague,